You'll do that up there.
None, that's all right.
Ernest, I see why you like that blueberry zucchini bread.
Good stuff.
That's the bomb.
Who makes that? I love blueberries. His wife makes it.
I got the recipe though,
What was it?
and I have a bunch of
Blueberry zucchini bread.
that I had from 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Zucchini bread person.
It's so moist.
I love it.
It's
I've never
good
had that.
stuff.
yeah, I love it.
Blueberry
Cup of
zucchini.
coffee with
Yeah.
it.
I'll try to remember. I'll clue you in on the next bunch.
Did you make it?
Well, yeah, I'll make it.
Or your wife made it?
Hey, they're one flesh, so I mean,
What is it? Blueberry what?
Blueberry
Blueberry
zucchini bread.
zucchini. Ever had anything like that?
If it don't rain, we may not have it anymore. It's almost at the end.
We're saying blackberry is a big issue.
Hey, Matt.
Alyssa went to that Ecker's farm last Sunday after church, and she brought a bunch home, made some jam. They was huge. They were almost as big as golf balls.
How's it going, man? Good to see you. Good to see you.
I know.
Oh, we still, he didn't have hands like a writer.
Hello, Matt. I'm good. You doing okay, honey?
Hello, man. How are you? It's good to see you. Hey, how you doing? You doing all right?
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I always see you got hands like a linebacker.
the industrial with the
Offensive lineman. Yes. Offensive lineman. Defensive lineman.
looked at the new land that they're looking at, you know, and beyond that.
Okay, so that's a new transfer order.
Hey, Matt. I was at a, back in my football playing days, I was at camp down in Tennessee. And you remember Jamal Lewis, the running back for Tennessee?
Yeah,
He was down there working out. And I went over and shook his hand, and of course I was 18 at the time. And I remember putting my hand out, and he grabbed my hand, and I swear his fingers came halfway apart.
I was like, I shook hands with Bret Hart.
Who's that?
Friday or Monday.
Oh, you thought that they were pretty big. You thought that they were big.
Don't you two be cautious.
Jamal Lewis. He was a running back for Tennessee, and he ended up playing. Where did he end up playing, bro?
He's shorter
Baltimore.
shorter throw.
One of them shot somebody, didn't he? The Ravens. That was.
That was Lewis, wasn't it? Ray Lewis?
Yeah, right.
1 minute. Everybody got their cell phones off. Microphones down.
All right, we'll go ahead and get this meeting started. I'd like to welcome everyone. We will go ahead and call it to order, and Madam Clerk will do the roll call.
Magisters Craycraft,
Present.
Pasley,
Present.
Constantopoulos,
Present.
Blanton,
Sure.
Davis.
Present.
Miller.
Present.
Okay. First item on the agenda is going to be the invocation by Pastor Mike Smith from the Church of the Living God. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. Let's pray. Father, we thank you that you have appointed this time and this place for this business to be conducted. Father, we thank you for your blessings on this city and this county and on our lives. We thank you for your grace and your mercy above all. And Father, as I pray always, I ask you to give this court the wisdom and the fortitude to do the business of the people, Father, Whether they agree at times or not agree at times, Father, it's still the business of the people. And ultimately, the Scripture tells us that they have been put in this place by your hand, and we believe that. Father, we just speak peace over this city and this county. We ask you, Lord, that they make decisions today that will promote the goodness of Winchester and Clark County, and ultimately, God, that it will bring you glory. And I pray, Father, that everyone under the sound of my voice will be ready for that day that Jesus Christ returns. God, thank you. We give you praise in Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a pen there? Thank you. We have, next, the first item is going, item number 5 is going to be public comments. Ms. Nancy Turner.
Good evening, gentlemen. Nancy Turner, Winchester Clark County Tourism, and also lovely lady up there, Michelle. I passed these out to you all a little earlier. This is a brochure that Harry Enoch took it upon himself after a visitation, I think somewhere in Virginia. Robert, you might have more clarity of the catalyst of it, but he did some thorough research. It's a beautiful brochure that depicts the history of the courthouse, and the Tourism Commission purchased the brochures. So I'd like to leave these with you, Judge, to distribute wherever you would like. And also, we do have some appointments before you tonight. Zach Pasley is here with us tonight, Regeneration Distilling Company, as is Ben Pasley.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And a special thanks to Harry.
Danny. Thank you. You can hear me all the way down there. Appreciate it. I was trying to get the last drop out of it.
Item number 6 will be to consider approval of the minutes for July the 12th, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos, a second by Magistrate Blanton. Any discussion? No discussion on that, right? Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 7 is to consider the transfer list, and I think you have an updated list on your chairs.
Well, there was 2 laying out here. Which one are we going by? The one attached to the minutes or the second one?
It was the one that Mary brought to us and informed us of the correction that was made.
Yeah, just a little bit ago.
Okay, the one she handed out, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Motion, Magistrate
Second.
Constantopoulos, second by Magistrate Blanton. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next item will be to consider the bills list.
So moved.
Motion by Magistrate Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Blanton. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, have a pre-authorization list for your review. Seeing no comments, we'll go on. Item number 10 will be a note in the minutes for a August 2023 anniversary raise for Addie Wills. Should have that in your packet. Item number 11 is just a note in the minutes for the Monday morning memo from the Winchester Clark County Industrial Authority for the week of July the 10th. Item number 12, you should have in your packets a note in the minutes for the Commonwealth of Kentucky Constables monthly reports for the month of June 2023. Item number 13 will be a note in the minutes for the trending incentive payment for Magistrate Mark Miller on the next payroll. Item number 14 will be to consider approval of an order to appoint Magistrates Robert Blanton, Mark Miller, and Steve Craycraft to the Clark County Community Fund Committee.
So moved.
Motion by Magistrate Davis, second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any discussion?
Go ahead, Magistrate Blanton. Please.
Will we have a order for the process to accept applications? We usually do that in August.
Okay. Yeah, because on the next meeting, we were also going to I was going to get the list out, so you can, once we get the application, you can decide how it's going to be.
Well, we usually do an order to authorize the application timeframe. Not right, Daniel?
Okay.
Should be an order though. It usually ends at August the 31st, but if we don't start the 1st, we might have to extend that just a bit.
Okay.
And the question that I have is I know the last 8 years we've done it is that 3 will serve for a 2-year period, and then the next 3 will serve for the following 2-year period. Is the plan still to do that as well?
Right. What happened when I looked at that from 2 of the magistrates that was on there last time are no longer here.
Right.
So my thought process was if we take 1 experienced and maybe 2 new magistrates to get them up to speed. And then this appointment is for 2 years, and the next 2 years is the other 3.
I've had a couple of nonprofits ask me about the process.
Okay.
It wasn't on the agenda, so if we can get that on the agenda and set a time frame for that.
Judge, if you would, just for constituents' reasons, could you explain what that committee is that we're being appointed to?
I'll let Magistrate Blanton.
Okay,
He's got a
that'll work.
This is the Rockwell money that was put into a fund that the foundation administers for us. We usually get about $100,000 a year. We meet generally middle of September, 1st of October, review their applications and distribute their funds the end of October.
Thank you, Robert.
Magistrate Davis, were you on the committee the last 2
I was.
years? It was you and
Master Thompson, Master Elkins.
Elkins. You may want to provide that committee that list of what you all did last year.
But we can get that.
Yeah,
I think the finance officer was present to keep track of the
He
funds.
was, yeah.
we actually have that list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes back many, many years.
Any further discussion?
Just being ignorant, if we're being put on the committee, do we have to recuse ourselves, or can we vote on it? Because we're on the committee.
There's no financial gain to yourself. That's what the county
Yeah.
attorney's always said to us.
Perfect, okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15 is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving the salary increase for Fran Howard as a Judge Executive's Finance Officer.
So moved.
Have a motion by Magistrate Blanton.
Second.
Have a second by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Any discussion?
Judge, the only question I had is I know that you are allowed to divvy it up any way you'd like, but just, can you explain to my constituents, also myself, how you chose to divvy that up?
Just the way I wanted to do it, I guess. A finance officer is a very critical position.
Sure.
And that's one that we absolutely have to have filled. So I felt like it'd be easier to maybe find a deputy judge maybe or something than it would be a new finance officer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 16 is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving the salary increase for the judge executive, deputy judge executive.
And Judge, on, on that one, I agree with the agreement that we made in the court. I've got some just legal questions in regards to the order, and it would be my recommendation that I make a motion that we postpone this to our next meeting. And the question that I have with it is the $40,000 salary is perfectly fine and when you hire somebody, but I think it has to be attached to a person. It can't be just as a whole on that.
Well, we're just, basically to comply with the court order, this is just to comply. That position is, that 40,000 is just for that position regardless of the person. So I think we should-
I don't know the right answer to that. I know the council's been out on training this week, and,
I think it's pretty clear. I think we should go ahead and vote on it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a procedural thing or what, but I always kind of thought it was getting the cart before the horse when you hire somebody and then later on, okay, now that you've got the job, now I'm going to tell you what your salary's going to be.
Well,
I don't know. I think it's better policy to set the salary and hire the person, then everything's clear. And what a whole lot of trouble this court's had, but it may be a procedural thing. I don't know.
well, we actually, I think you are correct. Back in January, for the people who serve at the pleasure of the judge executive, normally, I recommend the people, and then the salaries are set by the court. The problem was, back in January, I think, the salaries were set, but they were so low that I really couldn't hire anybody.
And
So,
I think you're right. Sorry,
One moment.
Go ahead, please.
so what happens is it goes in to circuit court, and the decision or agreement that was made was they were going to allow me $90,000 total between the two. So yeah, in a way, the cart is before the horse here. But we have to move on. We've got to start conducting business.
No, I think this is the better way.
I agree with you.
Set the salary and then hire the person.
I would
Okay,
rather
good.
vote
I
on
don't know
this
about you
tonight.
all, but I've never hired anybody and then said, okay, later on, I'll tell you what you're gonna be paid, or, nor if I was taking a job, I wouldn't wanna say, okay, I got the job, let
I
me
agree
know in a
with
couple
that.
of weeks what the pay is.
It's consistent. I communicated briefly with the county attorney this afternoon, and I had similar question, and I don't think he's out of town, obviously at a conference, but he didn't have any objection to it, and I don't either. I mean, it's consistent with the agreement that was reached a couple weeks ago. But I will say this, Judge, I mean, I don't know, there may have been a time where a finance officer was making $10,000 more than the deputy judge, although I don't ever remember there being a time. It's certainly allowed. There's nothing wrong with it. It's unorthodox, but there's a lot about this that's been unorthodox.
Well, I think this is consistent with your previous statements.
It is.
That the HR person has more duties.
That's
and
right.
So I
That's
think
right.
that's just perfectly
And
fine with me.
if you can find somebody that you feel is qualified and appropriate, and then, I don't have any problem with it, as I said, but.
Mr. Miller?
Judge, and one thing that just popped in my brain, back in January, we set it at 36.5, and we didn't have a person, so that was beforehand, so I don't know why that wouldn't be the same as this, right?
Say that one more time?
At the beginning in January, when we set the salaries, there was no person attached to it.
Sure there was.
yeah, there was.
On the original one?
Yeah.
Okay, I forgive you then.
Now, and I will say this too, that if you look at the salaries set for these positions, that Clark County, pretty much for the size of our county, has the lowest pay there is for a deputy judge. I was talking to some people last night. I think Madison County runs in the high 80s. Franklin County, and I don't know what size they're popular. Well, I know Madison County's large, but Franklin County is somewhere in the 90s. And basically, the 35,000 is so low you can't hire anybody
Sure, I agree.
that can do that job.
92 counties don't have one, though. Don't forget that.
What's
There's
that?
only 28 counties in the state of Kentucky that still have one. 92 don't have one at all. And the person we're giving the $50,000 to tonight has worked 7 months for $35,000, and the person before
Yeah.
made 44 with a $6,000 stipulation of IT.
Can we vote on the
I'm
motion
gonna
to table?
call the question so we can move on with that, because you get to choose any way you want, Judge.
I will rescind my motion on the postponement due to the fact that Magistrate Davis had had conversations with the county attorney. And then I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Yep.
So what's before you is the original motion. Do you want to rescind your question?
Yeah,
You want to
correct.
rescind?
I was just calling it to question so we can go ahead and move on.
Okay. All right, any further discussion?
Nope.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
The motion carries. Item number 17 is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving the pay increase for employees of the Clark County Fire Department.
So moved.
Have
I'll
a
second that.
motion. Motion by Magistrate Davis, second by Magistrate Miller. Any discussion?
I'm going to vote for this, but it's a red herring because we'll have other departments submit additional pay increases for all their employees as well. So, but I will vote for this.
And I'm agreeing with Magistrate Blanton there that we do have enough money in the budget, I'm assuming, for all these increases.
Yeah, we talked about that last meeting.
Right, Chief?
Say again, I'm sorry, sir.
We do have enough money in the budget.
Yes, sir, it was budgeted.
It was budgeted.
And we've already approved this out, or the increase. This is just for the order.
It's just the order, yep. It's already been discussed, it's already been dealt with, yep.
And these are to be retroactive to July the 2nd, correct?
Yes, sir. Just so we're clear,
Could you
sir,
come up to the
I-
mic so the people,
Absolutely.
thank you.
I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of turn. Just to be clear, sir, I wanted the court to remember I had come weeks before when the budget was approved to ask for these, and I had explained it at that time, so I had told you and asked for an order to be placed on the agenda, and it was not done so. That's how we come up with it in magistrate conference.
That's correct.
So it's already been voted on. This is just the order catching up.
Thank you.
I'll get that. All right, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome, sir.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court approving the transfer and hiring of Carl Stepp to the Clark County Road Department as an equipment operator.
Motion approved.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion by Magistrate Pasley, second by Magistrate Davis. Okay. Let me correct one thing, though. If you look at the order, on there it has July the 28th,
Correct.
which I think that was a Friday. The pay period starts on Sunday the 30th, I think, or 31st. So that, what we'd like to do is to go ahead and do this, but change that July the 28th to July the 31st.
That gets it into the new pay period.
Right. Okay. Because it'll be after.
If you make it, well, even if you make it, it won't matter, because tomorrow's his last day of work anyway. So if you make it the 28th or the 31st or whatever.
So we can leave it the 28th?
leave it,
Perfect.
because
Okay.
tomorrow's his last official work day.
Thank you.
So I'll remove that comment. We'll just leave it as the 28th. Any further discussion on that? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Number 19 on the agenda is to consider an approval of a maintenance service contract with RCS Communications for the emergency siren equipment in the county, Clark County.
Motion approved.
I'll second it.
Have a motion by Magistrate Blanton, a second by Magistrate Miller. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 20 is to consider an order approving a zoning change classification of tract of land containing 1.438 acres located at 229 Cook Avenue, Winchester, Kentucky.
Motion approved.
We have a motion by Magistrate Constantopoulos. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Magistrate Davis. Any discussion?
Did Who prepared this, just out of curiosity?
Planning and zoning, I think.
Judge Akins, I think.
Yes, sir.
John Roth here on behalf of the applicant. Mr. Blaine, it was prepared jointly by
Thank you.
myself, the county attorney, and the planning staff.
I was just curious. Just a little bit different format than others. Just curious.
That's probably why.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is item 21 is to consider a 4-year lease agreement with DAM Holdings for the Child Support Office at 7 Cleveland Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
What will the date of this one be? We approved one, I think, back in December or January with a little bit
Well,
different number, but
I thought we did too, but I think it was just going monthly.
that was month to month on that one, I think.
Right. So
Okay.
this one is only going to be for 4 years, or 48 months.
It says August the 1st down in the text, so I would assume that would be the same, on these two blanks at the top, first day of August.
Right.
Okay.
I see, yes.
When we get reimbursed, I think it's what, I can't remember the percentage.
There's, I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I assume the percentage would still apply.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
Seemed like in the budget, it's $12,000 or $13,000 reimbursement in the budget, I think. I'm not certain.
First day of August.
I thought it was half, but I looked at the budget, it's a little bit more than half. But maybe that's just where it comes in.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 23 is to discuss the hiring process for the Director of Finance Assistant Treasurer. If you remember, not too long ago, we went through a process
skipped
to hire.
22.
Pardon?
Skip 22.
Skip
Oh,
22.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Item number 22, consider an ordinance establishing the updated geographic boundaries for the magisterial districts in Clark County. First reading, Michelle Turner.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Who's my second?
Magistrate
Magistrate
Isley.
Isley and Magistrate Davis.
And if I can just say real fast, it says that you have your exhibits, that's all the maps that you all were given last week. I just didn't want to print them out, every one of them.
That's fine.
That's correct.
We've seen them.
Just trying to save paper.
Yeah, we got them.
Yep,
Okay,
we got it.
thank you.
Good job again, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, item number 23 is to discuss the hiring process for the assistant treasurer. Would you like to comment on that?
Well, Judge Yates and I met, we didn't know if we wanted to follow the same process that we did as far as hiring the treasurer. We got 16 resumes for the position. Judge Yates and I have reviewed them, and we picked out the top 5. Our question is, do you want us, he and I, to interview and bring you the top 2?
Have you spoke with them on the phone or anything?
I've only spoke to one.
Why don't you do a phone interview first and then bring the top, whichever the top ones, whether it's 2 or 3.
Okay. I just
That'd
didn't
be
know
my
how many
preference.
you all wanted to see, if you wanted to see all the resumes, but he and I we have.
And I will add too that I went through the 16 totally separate, and I come up with the same 4 plus possibly one more. So it was kind of a unanimous on the first 4.
I prefer y'all might do a phone interview and bring the
Yep.
top ones to us.
Yeah, bring top, that's.
So
Save
you-
us time and them too.
Okay, we
So-
just didn't know how you wanted us to since it was so.
Bring the top 3,
The top 3, okay,
That'd be perfect.
okay.
and then we can go into closed session in a regular meeting, or we can do a special call meeting. But we need to do it quick.
I'd like to have it done, if he's available, I'd like to have it done for the next meeting. And
That's
we'll
fine.
have everything in place for you.
That'd be great.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you for your work on that.
Mhm,
Janet.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item number 24 is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court to reappoint Leanna Comer to the Hotel Motel Association on the Tourism Commission.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Magistrate
I'll second
Blanton.
that.
I'm sorry? Who?
I'll second it.
Have a second by Magistrate Miller. Any discussion?
I have one bit of a discussion. I tried to reach out to all three applicants, and unfortunately, I was unable to get in contact with two of them. I think one of them's on vacation. And then I also just have a couple other questions in regards to that, and I just wanted to run by the county attorney as far as what the statute says. I'm not saying that I'm against any of these. My preference would be is that we table it to our next meeting, the first meeting in August. So I'd offer that up as a motion, just because I couldn't talk to all the individuals. But if everybody else has, then that's perfectly fine, so.
I got a hold of 2 out of 3.
Huh?
I got a hold of 2 out of 3.
I just gonna go ahead and vote on it.
You're making a motion to postpone it to next meeting?
Just to next meeting, yeah, the same three to be
Yeah,
put
I'll
on their
second
next
that.
meeting.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I have possibly an issue here. I actually have in front of me the original ordinance between the city and the county in 1974. And this ordinance, 90, the city ordinance number was 93.7 and the county was 92.9. And it goes on, this is when the commission was established. And where I'm getting the question here is that it spells out how many members were appointed by such and such. And basically, and the question I have is, it says that the 7 members are to be appointed by the mayor and the county judge jointly. Nowhere does it mention in this ordinance that we nominate and that anybody picks them.
But I think the state statute,
Well-
the state statute, that's why I have questions, because it said 3 names from the list of the hotel association would be provided, and then you all pick from the list of those 3 names. And I think the other one was the restaurant association, and
Just one second. Also, what I found out, not just with that ordinance, but also in our admin code, it again says the commission shall be composed of 7 members to be appointed. Vacancies shall be filled in the same manner that original appointments are made. So it's my understanding that this particular ordinance and this particular commission, that the mayor and the county judge executive get together and basically they appoint the people. My understanding. Ms. Turner, you'd like to comment on that?
Would like to be here to answer any questions you may have. I will tell you that I'm going to be on vacation at your next meeting. We currently have 4 commissioners. We did not have a quorum at our last meeting, and we have a lot of very important business. We have ARPA money that we need to spend, and a quorum is very important. But I would love to try to answer any questions any of you have. Daniel, if you...
I want to speak to the individuals. I mean, we had this had the conversation.
Absolutely.
and what we
Leanne
said.
is on vacation. Jelena, I'm not sure why she has not been available. But in terms of KRS, if there's any confusion, I'm not an attorney, but I am familiar with the appointment process.
Well, I'm not familiar with Jelena. Does she live in Clark County?
She does not live in Clark County, which is why she is the Chamber of Commerce appointment. So if you look at KRS, it stipulates that a tourism commission is comprised of 7 members. There is a mayor's appointment, which is currently filled with our chairman, Michelle Font, who is here. There is a judge's appointment, which is Kitty Strode, who is on vacation. We have 3 hotel motel appointments. And if you look at that verbiage in KRS, it says if you do not have a local hotel motel association, then, so if we had a local hotel motel association, then they could appoint a member to the commission. And that commissioner doesn't necessarily have to live within the community. We do not have one. So therefore, it has been very difficult for us to get actual true hotel motel representation. So you'll see that Ms. Comer has filled that position in the past. Cameron Carell has filled that position. We were very fortunate to have Mike Patel at Baymont Inn, who does reside here at the Baymont Inn, be able to fill that position. So in terms of putting Jelena into the Chamber of Commerce spot, there is no residency requirement. And for us, the hotel motels, that's how we're funded. That is really the most important positions that we have, and we're really lacking that expertise.
So KRS 91, Judge, it's 91A.360. So that governs, and that's going to, of course, as we know, it's going to supersede any local ordinance. So that requires, as far as any hotel motel association nominee, if I'm reading it right, a list of 3 possibilities for
Yes.
that position. Now, was a list of 3 sent to Judge Yates?
Yes. Now, I will say we had 2 different appointments. We did use the same 3 appointees for both appointments. Because
Okay.
the way I read KRS, it was just 3 names.
Have these been but to the city?
Yes, the city has already approved Leanna Comer and Zach Pasley. Now, Jelena Moore, that will be coming before the city. My understanding is their next meeting.
And just a clarification from what Nancy and I talked about, Zach would be filling the kind of the Airbnb side of it, not
Yes.
necessarily the hotel motel, but being able to give expertise into a different area that may generate income.
Absolutely. So when this ordinance was written, there was no such thing as the short-term rental aspect, which is becoming wildly popular among travelers. And Mount Folly Farm has the old homestead, so Zach could report on those figures, plus his interaction with the distillery and the upcoming Moonshine Trail, which we're very excited about.
Did we not just appoint somebody? Richard Morgan?
Yes, I've met with,
Last court meeting, I think. It's in the minutes.
Yeah, he resigned.
He resigned.
So who would be filling his position?
Richard Morgan,
Jelena.
yes, that was a chamber appointment.
Well, I know Leanna Comer personally, and I just don't think you could find a more qualified person to be on any committee. The Jelena Moore, I do not know. We have Mr. Pasley here.
Yes.
So I say, why don't we just go ahead and we can interview him right now, give him a chance to talk to everybody.
If we have a motion on the floor to table, I mean, are we discussing a motion, or we got a motion and a second? And we're bound to discuss that. We can't skip over that, right? Mr. Behrman?
I do not know the rules of procedure on this. And I think it should.
I think we have to vote on a motion on the floor.
And vote on the
I
motion.
think it should be voted on.
Okay.
And
All
it's
right. Thank you.
tabled.
I will say, my concern with tabling this is the quorum. Our next meeting is the 16th.
Well, I don't see any need to table any of
Okay.
these.
Nancy, did you say the court's appointee is Kitty Strode?
Yes. And I want to go on record. I don't appoint anyone. It is the mayor and the judge. We send recommendations.
Did you pick these 3 people?
Did I pick these 3 people?
Did you select these 3 people?
We sat as an executive team and talked about who could bring the most to the table. And we feel very confident in these individuals.
And just so, I think I know the answer to this, but just for people listening in the public, the Tourism Commission is your boss, for lack of a better word, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're quasi-government, and we are created by state statute, and the 91A360 is the state statute that lays forth our appointment of our commissioners.
So even if we table them, Ms. Comer still sits on the board until the appointment is addressed. So that would take away from the quorum issue, correct? And then who Mr. Pasley's looking to replace, they would still remain on the board until
Their
appointment is.
Their terms have expired.
Yes.
They've expired, but they still serve until their
Okay.
successor's been reappointed.
It's usually the case.
Yeah, that's in every case that we've done.
Well, this order doesn't say that. These orders don't say that.
The ones that we have,
The one that's on the table tonight do not say that.
And that is not, I'm not an attorney. I don't even play one.
On TV?
Not even on TV or YouTube. I do not see that in our specific ordinance, or, pardon me, our KRS or our bylaws.
Yeah, the way this ordinance is written, it looks like they are just straight appointments.
Judge, are you challenging whether the fiscal court has the right to
Uh,
ratify those?
That's my question.
Then I think that we don't have anything but to table it until the county attorney's here and we can get clarity on that.
No,
We
no,
don't
I know
wanna
we
go to
had,
the court again.
I know when we had the last meeting over there, which was very informative, we did we were in that conundrum of being able to run
Yes.
it or not, but we decided to because we knew she hadn't been removed yet, and we kind of allowed that to happen. So it's kind of similar to what this would be, I would guess, that everybody would still be active and be able to fulfill your quorum until the next meeting when we could decide that.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that Mr. Pasley has given his time to be here, so.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a great
Which I'd like to hear
conversation
from
with
him.
Mr.
I think it'd be
Pasley.
good to
Yeah,
be able to
I had
do
a good
that.
conversation with him today as well, so.
And another question, Cindy, did you nominate Jolena?
Yes.
And maybe you could speak on her behalf for a bit at least to maybe explain why you chose to do that and maybe give us some insight.
We met each other at
Well,
a chamber.
You have to come up here, sorry, honey. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we need to go ahead and we still need to address the motion on the floor.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor to table item number 24, and this is the reappointment of Leanna Comer is item number 24. There's a motion on the table on the floor to table that.
But to postpone it to the next meeting. I
Just to
think
the
that was
next
his
meeting,
motion.
postpone to the next meeting, yeah.
And that'll give you a chance to talk to the county attorney, the judge, and clarify for your own thinking.
Because if we don't even need to take it up, then y'all just do it.
So who made the motion to table?
Daniel.
It was a motion to postpone
Okay.
to the next meeting.
Motion, and there's a second. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
No.
Aye.
No.
Magistrate Blanton is a no, and the judge is a no. So basically, we have a very similar situation on item number 25, which is to consider an order of the Clark County Fiscal Court to appoint Zach Pasley to the Hotel Motel Association Tourism Commission.
Judge, I'd just make a motion to postpone items 25 and 26 to our next meeting in August.
Second.
Had a motion by Magistrate Davis. Is there a second?
Ernest seconded.
Okay. Those in favor say aye.
Oh, no, we're going to
I'm
discuss
sorry.
it.
Any discussion?
Let me get this straight. The reason that we're postponing, Zach is here so he could talk and we could probably vote on it, but you're questioning whether we should be doing it or not. So we're waiting to get with the county attorney to make the decision? Is that what we're doing? Why we're postponing?
I think there are several questions in regards to
Yeah, it's not, it's not Zach,
It's not Zach, it's the statute.
Okay.
And whether, and then the other question that Judge brought up, he thinks that it's just him and the mayor make the appointment. We don't even have to ratify it. That was another
Interpretation
issue.
of the statute.
It's just interpretation of the
Yeah,
statute.
I just didn't, okay, I just want to make sure that we could know that.
In the order for Mr. Pasley, I think that should be unexpired as opposed to expired term. He's filling an unexpired term.
And Zach, I appreciated your time that you spent with me.
Is
It
that
was
not
good
correct?
it was good talking to you today,
Is
by
that-
the way. Even though my 2-year-old was
Is that-
hollering and screaming while we were on the phone.
Am I correct, that's an unexpired term for Cameron Correll, is that an expired term?
It expired as of 6/30.
Okay, so it is an expired term, okay, I thought that was an unexpired term, okay.
The next one, the six.
Okay, the next one is, okay.
Yeah.
I got you, okay, thank you. So it is expired, I'm sorry about that.
So the motion before the court is to postpone or table until the next meeting, items 25 and 26. Any more discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Magistrate Blanton and the judge votes no. Okay, that takes us down to magistrate comments. We'll start out with Magistrate Constantopoulos.
Judge, I just got that one. I laid it on everybody's desk. It was last meeting, we had asked the county attorney to prepare an agreement for contracted services for training with the new treasurer, Alicia Mayab. And he emailed this, of course, he's out there, he emailed it late last night, and I printed it out and brought you all copies today for it.
One thing that I'm going to do in the future, number one, this doesn't say who prepared it. You're saying the county attorney did prepare it, review it. But what I want to see happen in the future, that any orders that we're going to vote on, they need to be actually on the agenda so that we give the public a chance to review anything at least for a week or 10 days. Because this way, and I'm sure no one would have any objection to this, but we're not giving the general public a chance to comment. Because we're doing it at the end of the meeting as a last minute, whereas, I don't know, somebody in the public could see this on the agenda and maybe they want to come and comment. So in the future, I'd like to see these on the agenda.
I mean, we voted on this in our last meeting. I mean, so it's nothing that we hadn't already done in the public's eye.
Okay.
So, I mean, the only thing that we need to add in the motion is to fill in those blanks, because the county attorney did not have the rate of pay, which was $50 per hour, and the final sum of such services will not exceed $1,000, and the term would not extend beyond 12/31/2023.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
For that, what you're talking about?
I'll second it.
Magistrate Davis, is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I don't have anything else, Judge.
Sir?
I don't have anything else,
Oh,
Judge.
okay. Magistrate Pasley.
So at the last meeting, we made a motion for an order to approve East Clark County Water District appointment for Rhonda Morphew, and Magistrate Blanton asked if there was an order. And I made mention that I would send it to you, and I attached it on an email, and you said you didn't get it. There's a copy of it. It needs to go to East Clark County Water District so it can go to Public Service Commission.
So you want to make a motion to approve, or just, this is the order from last time? Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Magistrate.
I've just got one thing, and I don't know all the details, but I want to give shout out to our road department. I think they assisted with a collapsed barn, and they managed to save some cattle. I wish Al was here. Could tell
That was
the
Clark County
details.
Fire
I
Department
don't have
also.
it.
Fire Department also.
Yeah, fire department as well.
There was a news story tonight, wasn't there?
Unfortunately.
Anyway, I just want to give a shout out to the road department for assisting in that.
All right, Magistrate Miller?
I've got a couple of things. I was going to say the same thing for the fire department and road department, and thank you for doing that. Also, I want to give a shout out to Brad for taking me through a tour out through the industrial park. It was very informative and very helpful for a new magistrate to understand that. It was answered a lot of questions. Also, there was a question that came up in the fire department meeting, Judge, that was asking, have you got with the mayor yet and started the process of trying to talk about the merging of the fire departments yet?
No, sir.
Okay, because we were wanting to know, because there's, time is an essence on that, and we were asking if we could maybe start moving on that, and I'll maybe making a suggestion, because it may or may not need to go through an entire feasibility study if people can't come to a conclusion that we want to do it, but they need to at least talk together. Maybe the fire chiefs and yourselves can maybe talk together to see if that's feasible.
I've
to do
sent a red line copy to the mayor,
that. Okay,
and she said she didn't get it the first time, so I sent it again, so.
okay. The other thing too is you mentioned also about, not wanting to do an order in the magistrate comments, and I just want to make a comment. The reason that we'd done that in the past was because things weren't getting put on the agenda, so we were bringing it up in magistrate comments because it still had to be done. And unfortunately, we have one of them tonight with the fire chief that I'll let him speak on it, and then if we have to do it next time and make an order, that's fine. But I want to bring him up to do that if you wouldn't mind. So, Judge?
Sure. So just to be brief, gentlemen, the administrative code does not address an issue that I have right now. We've lateraled some members into our department, and the administrative code addresses their pay. They get 10 cents per year up to 10 years. So they're off probation now, and they're about to start accumulating sick and vacation time. It does not say at which rate they should accumulate. I don't know if it was the court's intention or not, but it was an oversight or overlooked in the administrative code. I think we should also give them year per service. So a man that's with 5 years' experience would accumulate at 9.33 versus 8 hours. He's only going to get 1.33 hours more than he would. We're just valuing his time and service that he has had in the fire service and bringing it over to that. So I don't know if we need an order or not, or if it was the intention of the court just to give them their hours or their time that they would accumulate, for their years of service. If I'm not making myself clear, I can show you on paper exactly. Because a new employee would accumulate at 8 hours. So if you paid a man 50 cents for his 5 years of experience, he would accumulate at 9.33 hours versus 8 hours a month. So that's all I'm asking is, it's not addressed in.
Was that changed in the last admin code?
It was not. It's still sitting there. We addressed the pay, but we never addressed at what
So
rate.
it's been like this for quite some time?
Correct. And Janet and I have tried to change that, but we didn't want to do it without. First, we brought it up to the fire committee. They voted unanimously to let them accumulate a years of service. It's only up to 10 years that we give years of service, but it's not addressed in the admin code, so we were looking for some guidance from the fiscal court.
I'd move we put this on the next agenda.
And from what I'm understanding also, Judge, we can't do anything except in June, so this would have to be a decision you would make,
He
correct?
has to make that decision.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
on this, we have to change the admin code.
Yeah,
I don't
you're
think
right.
I don't think you do it through an order.
But I mean, if we want to discuss it, we need to do it at the next meeting.
That's fine.
If you want to discuss it, I agree.
Yeah, put that on the
But-
agenda.
But it would have to be addressed in the admin code, and the other thing that you have to take into consideration is that you've got other departments that have people that have been here for longer, so if you do it for one, how does that, I don't know the answer to that right off the top of my head.
Well, this strictly only refers to lateral hires. It's not a new hire or anything of that nature. It's strictly for the lateral hires. This would be the only people that it affects. So if you hired a man and you lateraled him and you give him his years of experience, we give him 10 cents per year up to 10 years. So you're basically hiring them at $1 higher.
So Mike, we
But a
can
lateral
discuss-
hire would be a new hire.
But that would be a new, yeah.
Well, we don't, Well, they're not addressed in the orders that way.
I know,
But
but
let me-
still, that's what it is.
But still
But
what?
essentially, it's a new hire, even though it is from one.
But it's not addressed in
I
the
understand.
order
I
as a
understand.
new
I
hire. It's
understand.
addressed as a lateral
I
position.
understand.
Chief,
Understand.
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Let me see how to frame this. If you, so a person that got hired on here from day one,
Yes, sir.
after they've been here 10 years, does their accumulation rate change?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Okay.
It does.
But it does, so it does not change based on if a person comes in lateral, is what you're saying?
Yes, it does not right now. It shows
It
them,
comes in as
shows
they-
them as
I
not
follow.
even accumulating time until they've been here a year. So they accumulate 0 hours. They're off probation now. And it was my understanding they would accumulate at the years of service we give them credit for. But the administrative code does not address that,
I
so we
follow you
weren't
now.
comfortable with giving them that time until the fiscal court said so. That's all we're not, it's not like we're trying to get them anything different. We're just asking for the administrative code to be specific and say, we are allowed, if a man comes in with 5 years, instead of giving him day one accumulation rate, we give him the 5 years that he has served, and he would accumulate at 9.33 instead of 8. So that's all I'm asking.
Just a clarification.
It's just a clarification, and the fire committee voted that we felt that we are lateraling these persons, or, men and women in, so we valued their time and give them 10 cents per year, but we're not gonna value their time enough to let them accumulate at that rate. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And the last thing too, Judge, that I just want to make a comment on is, if you look at the agenda now, for those of you that are out there, we've moved the magistrate comments before the closed session. That was a suggestion by several people in this room, so that we wouldn't go into closed session. People would leave and we'd come out and then make some decisions they couldn't hear about it. So, Judge, I want to thank you for changing that on that. That's all I have.
So, Judge, just to clarify, is it your intention to try to schedule some kind of a joint meeting with the mayor, or is that, are you not interested in that?
No, I'm interested. I've just not had any discussion yet with any of that. I have heard talk that they are trying to find a date and a location to have that at. That's really as far as I've heard.
Time is the essence.
Mainly to give the public a chance to comment on it.
Well, my only thought is, I'm not in any rush to have it, but I think if we're gonna do this, and if there's any glimmer of hope for some kind of arrangement on the fire departments, and I think the jury's definitely still out on that, we need to go on and do it. If not, we need to go on with trying to find a property for our fire station. I mean, we've been talking about it.
And I think I just saw something where the city just bought 3 or 4 new fire trucks.
Tanker, I think.
Tanker.
$3 to $4 million. So, I mean, they're plowing ahead with their plans, with their fire department. So I don't know why we can't with ours, unless we come up with some kind of arrangement in the short term. So that's all I have.
I got that.
Okay.
One quick question, just a I failed to mention it, and I just thought about it sitting here. A couple court meetings ago, we had authorized Janet to take over updating and so forth the website. I'd spoke with her about some changes that were not on there, and she has been trying to reach out to the software company to get it, and they will not speak to her. That somebody in your office needs to authorize.
Is that true?
To speak to her.
Yes, I contacted
Because-
on the end of June, and then after I came back from vacation, I had forwarded you the request along with the finance officer.
Yeah, as far as
Because I didn't know who was the primary and the secondary, so I just assumed you and she would be one or the other. But the person at Civic Plus said, hey, I can't speak with you because you're not on the list, and so I've made the request. I just didn't know which one to send it to.
Yeah, it was my understanding that about 10 days ago, whenever this all happened, it was done, but we'll check with them first thing tomorrow.
Well, I checked with them on the 19th of July, and I had not been added to that list. And then that was the second time I made the request to you and the finance officer.
Yeah, it
So
should have
could
happened.
been, okay.
Yeah, it
Thank
should have
you.
happened.
Appreciate it, Judge, thank you. I was gonna make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
I have a few things here. I just want to fill in everyone just real quickly here. Information, last Tuesday afternoon, about 3 o'clock, the case manager from one of our family court judges came down looking for some air fresheners. And so I went up to look, and what happened is, this is on the top floor of the building here facing Main Street. The inside of that wall was completely soaking wet with water. And as soon as you open the door, the stench from the mold would literally almost knock you down. So what we did, problem is it's on the second floor, top of the building. So I remembered hearing that our fire department had a drone. So I called over there, and Fire Captain R.D. Brock, it was his day off, but he brought the drone over, flew it up there, and we still could not see what the problem was. The drone could not get close enough because of its avoidance circuits. So he volunteered the idea of contacting the city and getting their ladder truck over. So about 1:30, that was Thursday, the city brought their ladder truck over. They were up there for probably a couple hours and still trying to find the problem. They put some water in the gutters. It's a hidden gutter, and it was draining out slowly. So they put a little bit more water in the gutter, and it started to overflow. And that's when Captain Brock reached his hand down inside the downspout and pulled out a full-size plastic bottle. So I don't know what that plastic bottle is going to cost, but it's going to be expensive. First thing I did is I called AOC. They came in. They've reviewed it. The judge and her case manager have relocated to Madison County. We've had 3 contractors, mold remediation. We've got mold. We've got lead-based paint, and we've got asbestos probably. So what happens, I have learned in this, that when you have a situation like that, you have the contractors and then you have the customers, but you also have a third party, and they come in and they test everything, and they will write a procedure or protocol to remove all the mold and asbestos, whatever. And so right now, we only have one out of the 3 companies that came and looked at it, only one is still interested. Manpower, workload, etc., they can't get to it. So the second company that came in yesterday and looked at it, as soon as they hear or review the mold remediation, they will determine whether or not they're going to bid. AOC has declared this an emergency, and which may be good. They are probably going to help us with the cost of restoring it. So I just wanted to share that one with you real quick.
Judge, have you reached out to KCO to see if we have any coverage in regards to this?
KCO has filed an insurance claim to see if anything that they can do.
And, you know, the bad part about that is it had to come from somebody that was up there, like working on the steeple or something. There's no other way of water.
Well, the same thing happened several years ago. The gutter was stopped up on the judge's side.
So I've got a question. Can they put a small grate over the opening of the pipe before it goes down? I mean, there's really nothing flying around up there that's going to actually, like leaves are going to catch inside there, but obviously a grate over that hole would be probably a smart idea.
Okay, one other thing I have. Back on Magistrate Pasley's order, in the order, it is saying that about the 45 days and everything, and he cited KRS 67710 paragraph 9, and he's saying that what had happened is that I had made a nomination, the nomination was not approved, and that it had been 45 days since that nomination, so therefore the fiscal court was going to nominate someone to fill that position. However, if you read that paragraph 9 that he refers to, it says, when directed by statute or an ordinance of that county to make an appointment and fill a vacancy, nominate a person to fill the vacancy within 60 days of the date of the vacancy. The vacancy did not happen until June the 30th. So my clock didn't start until June the 30th. So I really don't think that this applies, that we still have 30 days to make nominations. So what I would like to do, I don't know this person, but I would like to talk to them. I very well may, nominate that person. But I still have roughly 30 days to make a nomination.
We've already voted on that and approved the minutes.
Well, then in that case, what I'd like to do is table this or postpone it, whatever you want to call it. I have requested an Attorney General's opinion on this, so I think
I thought you said you didn't get it. How'd you request an opinion on it? You didn't get it.
I must have found out.
Things that make you go,
Yeah, and that's why we keep cycling to these magistrate comments, because you get the stuff, but then you don't acknowledge it.
The truth is not in you. Every time it's always something
Wait a minute,
different.
you don't have to sit there and call me a liar.
But it's always constantly, you say you don't do something and then you turn around and do something else. You say you don't get it, but mysteriously, all of a sudden, you're doing an AG's opinion on the order?
We just heard about this. I can go check the emails and give you an exact date, but it was very, very recent. So, anyway,
does PSC require an order, or will they be satisfied with minutes?
They're satisfied with
Probably
the
the
minutes.
minutes.
Send them a copy of the minutes after they've been put of record. We voted on this, we voted on the minutes. I'd send them the minutes.
all right, moving on. The last thing is in our last meeting that we had discussed about the animal shelter and about moving the animal control officer's salary up to $21 an hour. And the question I had at the time was, what do we do about the kennel attendants and everything? And the director has said that two things, that she has enough money in the budget to handle the $21 an hour, and that she is satisfied with the rate that the kennel attendants are being paid. So what I'd like to do, if we're going to do this, I'll go ahead and we'll this is I guess approved, and we'll go ahead and get a court order written up to handle that
For the next meeting,
for the next meeting.
put on the agenda.
All right. So that is all I had.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We are adjourned.
Adjourned, second. Yes, ma'am.
7:34.